actually used to have a quote in 2015 that said, everything is figure-outable. That was my favorite quote. So regardless of where you are, like whether you feel like, oh my gosh, like this is the end, there's always something that you can either learn, there's always something that you can look forward to, and I've always believed in that. So I'll cry today, but tomorrow I'm laughing. Like, you know, I choose to be happy and I choose to sort of believe in something bigger than what I know, essentially.
The greatest time of my life, the greatest time of my life. The greatest time of my life.
Hi, my name is Kele Motlhamme, but I prefer to be called Kele. I am a digital marketing manager at SuperSport.
And how old are you?
Oh, and I'm 28 years old.
Period. So please tell us a bit, like please give us a brief story of how you became the digital manager at SuperSport, or your journey into getting into marketing as a whole.
So I think growing up, I had like a lot of interests, and I'm so lucky and blessed to have had a family that allowed me to like dabble in anything that I wanted to be. I remember my mother just saying to me, doesn't matter what you do, just do it excellently. So at first I thought I was gonna be a fashion designer. That didn't work out. Then I still have like millions of magazines at home, so I thought I was gonna be a magazine editor. I was like the only kid that would read the editor's notes in front of the magazine when everybody rushed for the fashion pages. So I think it was quite an interesting journey for me, and I allowed myself to just test and trial a lot of things. How I actually entered marketing was someone just believed in me. I think, you know, I used to do like these modeling shoots, you know, when you just get to Joburg and you don't have a job yet and you think you're just gonna do this creative thing. So I used to do like these small modeling gigs for an agency called A-List Communications. What was it called? I think the title was like a digital analyst.
That is huge, girl. Please also just share a bit, like, what were you doing as a digital analyst? How do you go from digital analyst to digital marketing manager at SuperSport? Like, what happened? What was the in-between?
I think a lot of it was just being brave. Like for me, even when I got the job as a digital marketing analyst, I didn't know what the job entailed. I literally Googled everything. I remember in the morning, my manager at that time would be like, can you please put together a content calendar? And I would be like, Google, what's a content calendar? And I'd reference it from there. I think I never limited myself based on what I knew. I always gave myself a chance to sort of like, you know, go for it, try something new. So in my first job, we used to do a lot of influencer campaigns. So I would manage the entire funnel, as in like identifying the influencers, you know, coming up with the creative concept of what they would do for a brand, and then also reporting it after. I then moved to a PR company doing social media management, and that's when I actually specialized in social. I didn't really last there for too long, you know, but I think in everybody's journey, there's like super ups and super downs, and it's just about what you do and how you react to the low moments that actually built your character. So that didn't work out for too long, and then there was COVID, and that's when I started my first ever business. So to even tell you about this, like I never thought I'd actually work a 9 to 5. I thought 9 to 5s were the most ridiculous things. I thought they work people like machines. I always thought I'd be an entrepreneur. And funny enough, God had other plans for me. So just due to some, you know, financial reasons, economical, I had to sort of put together my first CV, and that was then to do my collective. So that's when I decided to write my first ever CV. And I remember praying this prayer, and I said, God, I'm only gonna take out one CV to one company, and if you really want me to get a 9 to 5 that I hate so much, you will let me get this job. But if they reject me, I will not be touched. I'll just know that entrepreneurship is my journey. And well, God said, get the job at Duma Collective. So I started working at Duma Collective, and I think just that experience for me was the most expansive. Like for the first time, I think I was exposed to so much more than I ever thought was ever possible. You know, a big shout out to Sibu Mabena, who just is building an incredible empire. But I think the exposure to what you could create, and I always say to people, like, this is so magical, right? To think of something, like for it to be an idea in your brain and then to see it come to life is actually quite an incredible godly feeling, you know, like just to know that this was a thought of yours and now it materialized into something that is actually consumable in the world is actually magical. So that's when I got exposed a lot. One of our clients was DSTV, and in my exposure in that, I always put my best foot forward. I'm like very brave. You know, I'm not scared to speak to people. I then got, what do they call it? When someone calls you for the job?
Headhunted.
Yes, I got headhunted into Supersport. And I won't lie, it was quite a daunting experience. All my life I've done entertainment or something in entertainment, and it was for the first time that I was exposed to, like, you know, a sporting environment. And I won't lie, it did come with its challenges, but I think the most important thing was I had reached a place where it felt like I've never done this before, and that was a huge challenge for me. But it was also just very, like, I get driven by things like that. I get driven by the fact that, oh my gosh, like, what the hell is happening?
Really?
I like figuring things out. Yeah. I actually used to have a quote in 2015 that said, everything is figure-outable. That was my favorite quote. So regardless of where you are, like whether you feel like, oh my gosh, like this is the end, there's always something that you can either learn, there's always something that you can look forward to, and I've always believed in that. So I'll cry today, but tomorrow I'm laughing. Like, you know, I choose to be happy, and I choose to sort of believe in something bigger than what I know, essentially.
So for me, when you said that everything is figure outable, I lose my mind, yeah. I lose my mind. I weep. And I'm hoping I'm not alone. And usually whenever I speak about imposter syndrome, just like navigating a space that you're not comfortable with, or like a space you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, right? It's very hard to have confidence in that space, right?
Yeah.
So you sound like a very confident person, right?
Yeah.
So
I think I wouldn't call it confidence. I don't think anyone is born with natural confidence. I think you need to have a little bit of crazy. There has to be some level of delulu, that you believe that something, like anything is possible. Like, it's not if you realistically look at things, I don't think like you're just born with confidence, or like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like, we all have those down moments, but I think every single person that has done something worthy or great in life has at least like some percentage of delusion that, like, I can do this, like this is possible for me. And for me, I haven't seen it with anyone, no one in my family. In fact, what I do, I don't even know a friend, I don't even have a role model who has gone the path that I've gone through. So I think it's very important to have a little bit of crazy, but also like a whole lot of faith in that little bit of crazy to take you through moments when, even though you're at your lowest, you're just like, God said I'm gonna be the greatest, I'm a GOAT, I'm legendary. And I think that's how I survived it, essentially.
Would you say that that's what like set you apart? Because there are a lot of people that were gunning for the jobs. There were a lot of people that were gunning for the jobs. So aside from that, or in addition to that, what other things do you think about you set you apart and put you in the places that you're in and in the rooms that you're in as well?
I think those two things, right? Firstly, delusion in believing in the impossible, but I think a whole lot of bravery. You have to do it, especially when you're afraid. That's what I learned. Like, when I start shaking and my heart starts beating at like 6 million, like how I am when I'm taking this interview, is when I know I'm doing the right thing. And I think I also trusted my gut a lot more, which is something that I wish I'd learned earlier, but that, you know, because I'm Christian and I believe in God so much, that like my journey is not just some random anomaly that's happening in the world, that like the road was paved for me even before I came here. So I think what sets me apart is being brave, being delusional, and just like going for it, really. Just, I really go for it. Like, whether I fail or not, for me, it's just like, well, I've been through the worst, and there's nothing worse than that? Like, I've been broke, living in Braam as a student, eating noodles. Like, what could be worse than that? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think you have to, like I'm saying, it does require a little bit of crazy. There has to be some, you have to believe in it. You have to believe in it. Yeah.
So, you know, I wouldn't say I'm in a quarter life crisis, but allegedly when you're 25, well, in those ages, from like 24 to like 26, they say that the quarter life crisis, you feel like, what the heck? What are we doing right here? What are we doing right now? Why are we doing it? You know? So I want to know, did you have a quarter life crisis? And if you did, like, how, if you did, you might still even be in it. I don't know. You will let us know. Yep. But how are you navigating it? You can even provide some examples for us of how you navigating a new feeling of like, what the heck are we doing? Yeah.
Look, I didn't even think a quarter life crisis was a real thing. I thought the only biggest crisis in your life is the midlife one, and I was like, I still got a few years before that. But I think it's natural, and especially, and I can speak for myself, like, I'm obsessed with growth, regardless of how it comes. So when you're obsessed with growth, you'll never stop questioning why. Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Measuring yourself against like the highest version of who you think yourself to be. So moving from, oh my gosh, is this even the right career? Oh my gosh, like, okay, where am I gonna get the money? Should I be traveling? Like, should I be, friends, like status? And there's like so many stuff, like, politically, not even politically, like, should I be networking with like the cool kids? Mm-hmm. Like, but I'm such a goofy person. And just navigating that, always questioning whether you're doing things at the highest level, or like always questioning if you're operating at your best, is something that for me never stopped, I heard it's a quarter life crisis. I'm still going through my quarter life crisis. And I think it's a good thing because it drives me. For me, like, I'm never at a point where I'm so comfortable in what I'm doing that I'm just like, oh, we did it, I mean, you're now saying super sport. For me, I'm just like, what is above super sports? Mm-hmm. And not in any, way that is sort of detrimental to my mental health. And I think that's very important to also manage. But I think you have to always have something greater than you, or a level of unknown, in order to like elevate to the next level. Like, there has to be like another staircase that you've never seen and that you don't understand, that causes you a lot of anxiety and panic in what you do, in order to almost operate at your best. So yeah, I'm definitely still dealing with it. I still have, a few panic attacks here and there, anxiety 3 days a week, But I think it's always because I've thought of myself as a game changer. And it doesn't matter what I do. Like, today, when I'm putting on my outfit, I'm like, is this giving game changer? You know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm sending a document at work and it's just like a measly little 2-slide, like, the canvas skills though, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think because I apply that across in my life, like, I don't think I'll ever reach that level of like full gratitude, and I hope I will one day. But for now, it's a driving force for me, and it's keeping me ambitious. So let's go quarter life crisis.
So like, how do you find the balance of like, because you said that you always have to be like aspiring for the next thing, or you always aspiring for the next thing. So how do you find that balance of being proud of yourself for achieving certain things while still like aiming to reach better or higher things? Like, how do you strike that balance of like, so happy to be here, but also can't wait to leave here? You know what I mean?
For me, the moments of pause is prayer. Every time that I pray, there's just a level of gratitude that you have to give to God, and a level of faith that you need to trust in what's coming. So sometimes, especially in what we do marketing, like, and sports happens every day, So it never stops. After Olympics, it's, new football season. Oh my gosh, like, UCL is starting next week. Like, Betway Prem is about to start. Like, it's such a fast-paced environment that I operate in career-wise, and it pours over in my life, that I have to intentionally make days to say, today I'm going to sit with God, and we're going to look back at like everything that He's made possible, and look forward to like what's coming. So I think you almost have to be intentional. Even if it's like penciling it into your diary and saying, like, the last Sunday of every month, I'm gonna sit down in complete gratitude. Because another thing is, like, a lot of people miss out on what's next and what's big because they don't get time to sit and look back and be grateful for what happened. So for me, it's very important. Like it's a very important thing. I never want to, you know what I mean? There's a Big Sean line that says, with all the drive in the world, you still need gas. So there has to be a point where you actually stop and fill up your car. And I'm very intentional about stopping for gas.
Period. Slay. Last question.
Yeah.
If there is something you could tell your younger self to prepare for the unexpected and things not going according to plan, what would you say?
A couple of things. I would say, Kele, make friends with failure. I think we have like a wrong perception of what the graph looks like of growth. We think people start from the bottom and then, and then they work up. But like the real truth of life is it goes up and then it goes down and then it goes up and it goes down. And the top of one mountain is actually the bottom of the next bigger mountain. So make friends with failure. Like understand that it is inevitable for you to fail. In fact, if you're going to achieve anything, you are going to fail. And just, take it like, oh my gosh, as soon as what's the saying about before the rainbow comes the rain? So what has also been very consistent in my life is that every time after the lower the fall, the bigger the next thing is actually like comes through in such a huge way. So God has made it possible for me and I'm grateful for that. So I'd say definitely make friends with failure. I'd also say happiness is a choice. In every situation, it's like a coin. There is opportunity to be positive about it and there's opportunity to be negative about it. And you have to choose. And it's not a choice that you make once in the beginning. It's a choice that you have to make every day. So you have to wake up and say, yesterday was crap. But today, though, this is the day that the Lord has made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. So I think happiness is a choice. And I think the last thing is, I wish I had betted on Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016. Like they had a 1 out of 5,000 chance of actually winning a Premier League. They were like the lowest, sort of like in the league, and they made it to number 1. And I think my biggest take from that is really that bet on the underdog. And I get it, like not everybody will have confidence. If you see yourself as the underdog, believe in that. Like believe in yourself and say like, you know what, you actually are in a better position to write the greatest story when nobody sees you coming. You know what I mean? Like when you are not sure about, that is the perfect position to actually, because you have less to lose. So yeah, bet on the underdog always.
And it's not over until it's over.
Ever.
But this is over. Thank you, Kele, for sharing. My takeaway is do it unqanqazela. Because at the end of the day, it has to be done. And absolutely. Okay, now I'm gonna go on a rant.
Let's go.
Because actually, like this week was actually really hard on me, and I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's so easy to just call it quits.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your story. Just to say,
absolutely.
You know what? Sometimes it's not that you're the most confident, but it's that you're the one that's willing to do it afraid.
Exactly.
So shout out. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Like do it when your voice is shaking.
My hands are shaking now.
Yeah, and that is it. I think believe in that. Like you have nothing to lose. There's no way God will bring you up to this level to leave you behind. So I think like even when you think like, oh my gosh, like this is so crap, what's going on? Just take a moment to like take it in and actually just act. Sometimes like the magic word is just go. Like you're not gonna be ready. You're not gonna ever be qualified. Like you're never gonna be prepared. You just gotta kind of take the first step, and all of a sudden you're in the rainbow. Next thing, things are working out, and some things are not. And also don't be hard on yourself, Rory.
Thanks, audience. That was for you as well. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kele.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me.
The greatest time of my life. The greatest time of my life. The greatest time of my life.